Well, ain't this a pain in the ass? The best laid plans of mice and men. So, after playing around with the barrel hinges, which are very poorly made, and the beautiful drill bit, which is well made, I find that it's far too finicky and chances of making an error and breaking something or having it not work are too high. So I'm back to using either butterfly hinges or I think I'm going to use a piano hinge. If you make a mistake with these and you can't get the part out, then you're dead in the water. And if this is my project, it wouldn't matter because I could just go ahead and make another one and start over again. But this is a friend's project, it's not mine, so I've got to get it right the first time. So the way I'm thinking about doing this is putting the hinges like so, 7.5 inch piano hinge if I use it, and inletting it so it's nice and smooth. And this is basically what we have here. Now, in this test piece, when I open the box and lay it on the table, this seam is going to close up nice and smooth. So what you wind up with is these two pieces as close together as possible. So that's the plan. Let's get on and get these hinges and do some inletting and see how it works. I'll probably do a test piece with that as well. What I've done is using my handy dandy marking gauge. I've marked out with the marking gauge, cutting all the fibers so I get a clean mortise. The locations on both of these box pieces where the hinges have to go, and I've gone back to we have come full circle. I'm going back to these Harton Brasses, very high quality Harton Brasses hinges, two of them, one here and one here. So I'm going to chop these out with chisels. Not going to use a router. Some people say, why don't you just use a router to do that? Well, I'm going to chop it out by hand. I like chisels. So these are Marple's chisels. Now, we know today that Marple's are not, these chisels with the blue handles aren't made by Marple's anymore. I bought these in 1979, I think, at the original location Woodcraft Supply Store in Massachusetts. It was the only woodcraft supply store in the world, and they had little paper, light paper, black and white catalogs that they would mail out occasionally. I think I have to remember what town it was in, but anyway, I worked not far from there. So I got the Marple's chisels, and I also like using these Shopfox, not a sponsor, brass mallets. They have enough mass, but they're light enough and small enough to give you really great control. So shall we cue the time lapse? One down, one to go. Tunage, gotta have the tunage. Put that one up there. Let's work on the next one. Stuff's all sticking to the inside because it's got this felt in there. This fuzzy stuff. So, number 2. This should be a little easier because this is actually all solid wood that I'm going into, where this had this one still had the exposed Dutchman in it. Okay, so mortise is chopped, nice and smooth and ready to go. So let's, next thing I want to do is screw clamp this together and screw the hinges in. So I've got them located to make sure that all the turning hinge points are correct and everything's fine that way. I mean, if it's not, I can fix it, but a little bit of shaving here I got to get off. All right, so that's ready to go. Let's see what it looks like when I start putting this together. So I've got this lined up nicely. I had to slip a little piece of paper in here, folded piece of paper, just to get the gap all the way across here correct. I'm going to use a Vicks pick to center the screw holes and then put the screws in. I have to clear the hole a little bit for the shoulder on the screw because it's not all thread. So I want to go in about that far. Of course, when I get these in and everything's fine, I take it all apart and do the finish work on the box and then hand it back to Jamie. I haven't used a straight screwdriver in a long time for things like this. So, and the reason for doing one side first, because that affixes the hinge in one place. It's not going to shift around when I do the next set of holes on the other side of the hinge. Of course, the way this is set up, I can't clock the screws because they're going to wind up where they wind up. Not much I can do about that. Okay, oops, that swings up a little bit. Get down there a little bit. Better, better, better. Here's the test. Voila, Jamie's box. When we put it down, it has a little bit of a gap because of the hinges, but unfortunately that's the way it has to be unless I put wood along here that raises it to the level of the hinges. But this is about all I could do. So there's that. Easy to be used. The surfaces they're level with each other pretty nicely. Just maybe I'll do something like that. Or maybe I'll add some. Nope, I don't think so. So that's it. So the next is to do the finish on the box and then hand it back to Jamie. For finish, I'm starting with the Zinsser Bullseye Amber Shellac. And the nice thing about the Amber Shellac is you can layer it to deepen the color. But I think one coat might just do it. Using a rag in my finger. After the shellac is dried and is, this stuff dries like real fast because it's alcohol. I'll then give it a light sanding and maybe put a coat of polyurethane on it to protect it over time. But you see that's darkening up the wood nicely. And like I said, I can put more layers on. It'll darken even more. See? And now to the back, because that's where I did most of the sanding. And as you wipe it, you're basically putting a little bit more on and you're deepening the color a little. I did a pencil post bed and the first two layers of finish were amber shellac. And that gave it the color I wanted, and it was made of cherry. Then after that, I finished it off with wipe-on polyurethane, which really gave it a robust finish, a strong finish. All right, there we go. That's ready. That's that. I've sanded the top a little bit just to get some of the rough edges off. And then I'll use the polyurethane on it. Next, no need to film all of that, but this is done. I'll do the finish, assemble it, and I'll give it back to Jamie. So until next time, make great things out of wood, make some gaming boxes, whatever.